going on, my Jets family out there? What is going on, all you guys? Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being here for the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. You got me, Harrison Glazer. Always excited to be talking to you guys about them Jets, even if it ain't after a win. But I'm very excited to have a good buddy of mine, good guest here, Gunny from which you guys know him on Twitter. You see him on YouTube with the awesome content that he puts out at NYJets SitRep. What is going on, man? Awesome to have you on the show. How you doing?
Hey, Harrison. Hey, brother. Appreciate you having me back on, dog. I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Kind of excited to always chop it up with you, man, and talk Jets football. Always a good time.
Without a doubt, man. We got you people right out the gate. Mike, appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you, my man. Mike out there saying anything. So that's good to see you. Good to see you, my man, too. Good to see you, too. Mike also saying, good evening, Danny. Good to see you, too. So appreciate you, my man. Appreciate you out there. But I'm excited, man. I mean, it's not Victory Monday. You know what I mean? It would be nice if we were talking after a win. I mean, that would be the best situation. But we played a good football game considering. We played a good football game considering what happened with Mike White. And I mean, that's the huge story, right? The huge story is like, you and me were chatting it up, like, before the episode started. The big story is Mike White, like what Mike White's been doing, the player we've seen. Man, I am loving me some Mike White. I'd love to hear what you think, man, because I can't wait to talk all about it. But
brother, 100%, man, 100%. So with me, I'm gonna say this first and foremost. I am a New York Jets fan first, and a players fan second. And what I've seen from Mike White in the last 3 weeks is a starting caliber quarterback. We're seeing competent play at the quarterback level, man. And there's some individuals who are still screaming like, "Oh, well, he's 1-2. He's 1-2." Not realizing that, wins are usually considered a team stat, vice just a quarterback stat. He has played well enough for the Jets to win games. No, we haven't closed them out. We've had some bonehead mistakes, bonehead drops, that have cost us some wins these last couple of weeks. But for some reason or the other, that's all being bypassed. But Mike White, man, Mike White's QB1. I think right now we have a guy who is showing you what this offense can look like when it's firing on all cylinders. Clean up some of the issues to get to the red zone 6 times and only score a touchdown once. That's frustrating. On a freaking game-winning drive, as he's starting to drive the ball downfield, Michael Carter decides he wants to fumble it. That's frustrating. There are just so many parameters and so many aspects when you watch those games and you can look at it objectively that you realize, like, man, Mike White has given this team a chance. We've had some bonehead plays that have cost us wins, I think. But overall, man, I'm team Mike White, bro. Like, I'm team Mike White. I like seeing competent offensive play on the New York Jets. It's kind of fun to watch.
And that's the point, right? I mean, that's the freaking point, man. Like you said before, like, all you guys out there, appreciate all you guys tuning in. We've said it before. I've said it before. We're Jet fans, right? We're Jet fans first and foremost. We want to see our team win. We want to be successful. If that's with Mike White, if that's with Zach Wilson, you and me, remember we were joking before the show. If that's with Salah putting on a jersey and throwing 500
I'm rooting
yards,
for him.
We just want to win. Like, we're Jet fans. That's, something to talk about too. We're playoffs, man, the wins, which is awesome. But Mike White, man. Mike White is the story. And you guys out there, you guys know you guys out there know, I've told you, how I've been feeling about him with the stats he's been putting up. Remember saying things like, Gunny, I didn't have you on, but, saying things like, that if you think about it, if Zach Wilson had put up the stats that Mike White did in his first few games, the praise he would have got. Like, we've seen the numbers that Mike White's done. It's been unbelievably impressive what he's done in the small sample size as a late round rookie. It's crazy. It's absolutely awesome. And I was loving it, man. Like, this kid out of nowhere. We were all making that Tom Brady comparison, right? That late round pick that nobody saw coming. Like, I was excited about that. I even, I've talked about, people on the show, all you guys out there, appreciate all you. I've talked about, other times in the show, how I liked him coming out of college in that 2018 draft. He was a guy I was really excited about. But man, what he's put together, we talked about the last week, the week before, where I, on how you felt, but in that Vikings game, I felt that, what Mike White, one of the best things he always did was take what the defense gives him. Like, he's been great at that, like that. But in that game, he didn't get the opportunity to do that. So last week had a whole conversation of, as we saw, what does Mike White do when he can't do that? And he was just unbelievable, man. Right, like lights out, amazing throws, highly accurate. Look what he did this last game too. So we have to look at it. Yeah, they're losses. You know what I mean? These are losses, these last 2 games. But they were against the Minnesota Vikings, one of the better teams in football. They were 9-2, 10-2, the record, for a reason. So they're a top team in the NFL. And this week we played the Bills, who, yeah, we beat last time, but we beat last time with the defense stepping up and the offense really just doing enough.
And they had 80% of their defense. Let's be honest. Like they had 3 Pro Bowl players off of the defense in that secondary and in the middle of the field that are huge impact players. It wasn't the same defense that Mike White faced freaking yesterday.
Yeah, and we have to look at my biggest also thing was progress too with this kid, right? Like you guys remember, all you guys out there, appreciate all you guys. My whole big thing was like, I thought we were looking at it the wrong way. Like, remember, everyone was like, if Mike White doesn't ball out, he's not the guy. Well, last year was his first opportunity to play ever. So it was kind of like a rookie year. And, we were making a million excuses for Zach, which, again, he's a 2nd overall pick. But that he's young, he's learning, it's his first time playing. He makes mistakes. Oh, he needs time. But why don't the same things apply to Mike? I know you want Zach to be the guy, but again, we look at this small sample size. It was unbelievable. Again, last week, what he did, just unbelievable. This week, do we have to talk about Mike White this week like Iron Man, right? Like absolute freaking Iron Man. Like, I want to talk more about this game, but I want to know what you think. Seeing Mike White and what happened this game, the hits he took, the injuries he got, coming back in. How'd you feel about Mr. Mike White in this last game?
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Mike White got that dog in him. And I know we talk about that. We say that a lot, but Mike White literally has that
That's
dog.
the word, bro. You hear that from the team. That's the word.
Warrior, fighter, however you want to, but like Rocky, whatever you want to call this kid. Because I'm not going to lie to you, those hits hurt me watching them. Like, I was watching those hits and I was just like, yeah, I'd have been done. That'd have been it for me. I'm literally on my couch like, that hurt. My ribs hurt. And to see that man get up, not only just get up though, but like he's able to execute. Both times he got those big hits.
Bro, it was legit.
He got up and executed like darts to go ahead and move the chains both times. And for me, I was just like, man, this dude is not only taking these hits. That Matt Milano one, everybody's like, oh my God, we didn't get a rough in the passer. That was a football. That was a hit. That was a football clean hit. And I get it. What we saw last night against freaking the Chargers, that little tackle or touch football that they called a freaking roughing the passer. I understand why there's frustration, but in all actuality, that Matt Milano, that's a hit. Like I was like, God damn, I celebrated it. I was like, that was the big boy hit. That was it. And I'm pretty sure that's it. I was like, that's it. Mike White's done for the game. But that was a big boy hit. Like when you watch it as a football fan, you got to appreciate, like, man, that's one of the cleanest, legal, hardest hits I've seen like on an NFL game in quite some time. But then Mike White comes out of the freaking tunnel after I swore he had ribs broken, and then he starts playing again and actually leads a scoring drive and then almost leads another one before the freaking fumble. Mike White literally, like, he's got that dog in him, bro. There's no other way to put it. That kind of toughness, that kind of resiliency is so important when it comes to your quarterback play, man. And like, it's just, to me, I can't fathom in any scenario or any situation like how people can look at this dude and not realize like he could be a high starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. I'm not ready to say he's a franchise guy yet, because to me, there's only like a handful of franchise guys in the NFL. Like for me, like there's starting quarterbacks and then there's franchise quarterbacks. There's like maybe 10 franchise quarterbacks in the league. Then there's like 20 starters. Then you got a couple of backups, playing roles in the last a couple of roles. But for me, he's a starting caliber quarterback. Like he's proven that. Now, whether he's a franchise quarterback is going to depend on how he finishes out this season. But again, he's trending in that direction, in my opinion.
See, I totally get that. Just on that last part, and I, if you guys saw, put it out on Twitter. I again just feeling so good about this kid. You guys know, you guys who've been follow me, for back. We've been talking about it over all these weeks. What he's been doing, how just so impressive it's been. The small sample size, the way he's brought this team together, like the chemistry in the locker room is unbelievable, right? We've seen it over the weeks. We've seen what Garrett Wilson has said about I'd go to war for him. Like I was making jokes about that. Like it was like, they like Zach Wilson, but like they'd kill a freaking person for Mike White.
Facts.
Like that's the difference. Like there's a difference there. Like he just has the cohesion. He's come in, he's a leader, right? So many things we've talked about, going back to how, when he came in, Garrett Wilson pointed out, this kid is a third string quarterback, was taking all the reps, taking every opportunity. He's been unbelievable, just crazy in what we've seen. And this offense, we felt like all the talent was there. He makes it flow. And we've talked about, again, not making fun of Zach Wilson. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not insulting the guy, but we talk about all these things we love in Mike. It's what we weren't seeing in Zach, right? How he sees the field perfectly. He sees it beautifully. He goes through reads great. And when he makes a decision, it's smart and it's perfect. It's exactly on time. And you guys, we've talked about it over the weeks, right? Of some of those catches, like the Elijah Moore catch a few weeks ago, pretty much all of Garrett Wilson's catches. They're so perfect. It allows him, as we've seen, to make, microsecond moves to go downfield, because all of these passes are so freaking accurate. Like, just loving it, man. So, I mean, I know there's only a handful of franchise quarterbacks. I agree. I feel like he's shown he can be a starter. But again, as a Jet fan, we've been let down by quarterbacks in the past.
You 100%.
We've been let down by quarterbacks before. So I say it begrudgingly, but I feel it, man, from what I've seen, just again, with the numbers he's put up, what he's done in all of it, all of it. To last week, to showing, I felt this way, and I pointed on my show on Monday. I noticed that apparently Michael Nanya felt the same way. He put out this amazing video of the tight windows that
the breakdown.
Because that's how I felt when I was watching the game. I was like, it was kind of like when Zach hasn't proven it yet, but back when I evaluated Zach, it was like, remember that Coastal Carolina game where it was like, that was a horrible game. I was like, yeah, if you're a BYU fan, if you were trying to evaluate the quarterback, Zach Wilson, it was a great game. Because it was the first game he was actually under pressure and had to make real decisions, and you saw that. So I loved what I saw Mike like last week, because again, he's amazing at taking what the defense gives him. Last week he wasn't able to do that, and he again just can't sees the field perfectly, reads it beautifully. And we didn't even talk about this last game. This last game, you mentioned those hits he took. Man, the Jets' offensive line, they should I don't know, be publicly like Mike White gets to slap him in the face in practice. I don't know, but that was rough.
They should be hit with the tortillas.
I joked on Twitter they should be publicly flogged. I don't know what made me think of the word flog, but that was
oh man,
bro, it was rough. It was rough.
And so I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because I see a lot of people. And you're right. When you watch the game again, I watched it again today, and I was just like, God damn, man, these guys didn't help out Mike at all. It was bad. But then I sit there and I'm like, all right, well, we're down. This is what? This is the 30, I think it's like the 32nd or 34th rotation. Oh, I'm sorry, no, the 19th. The 19th rotation of offensive linemen we've had since freaking the beginning of the season. And then, of course, we lost George Fant again. The whole line, man, is such a scary thing to me. And I think, all I keep thinking in my head is, man, this freaking makeshift offensive line has played average, believe it or not, in the NFL. They've played average. And to think next year, when we have a healthy freaking Elijah Vera Tucker, we're definitely going to go ahead and find somebody in the draft. I don't know. Do we have a healthy Dwayne Brown? Do we finally see freaking Mekhi Becton? You know what? He's seeing these guys having fun. He wants to brush it. Maybe he decides to take his rehab way seriously this year. Who knows? And to me, I keep thinking about the possibilities of what that would look like next year with a healthy freaking Brees. Bro, I'm going to stay on record saying this. I believe the New York Jets have Brees Hall, they have AVT, and we're in the lead of the division right now. I don't think it's even a question. I think the Jets would be 10-2 right now in the lead of the division if Brees Hall and AVT was healthy and on this team. And that's not even hyperbole.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. That's the point. The chemistry that, again, Mike White has brought to this team. We saw moments of it with Zach. We did, but it was so rough. Like, I talked about it here as well with you guys. Remember that we said that all those things I loved with him, we weren't seeing. And that's why, remember, Robert Saleh made such an amazing, comment of literally saying that. His thing of shutting down Zach was amazing. And that kind of, I want to talk more about Mike White, but to pivot to that for a second, love to give you something. I just want to bring it up. Since you didn't get your opinion on that, they talk about, Zach Wilson, they asked Robert Saleh today if Zach Wilson could come back as QB2. He said there's a good chance. Well, not good chance. He didn't say yes, but he also didn't say no. I think I have it over here in one of these tabs. I have it. I just have to find it. Not sure. Okay. But I'd have to figure out where I put it. I'm not really
in terms of of Zach coming back. So I'll say this. I see somebody else put it in there too about Joe Flacco. They just went away. It was in the comments. I don't want to see Joe Flacco anywhere near the active New York Jets roster. I just don't. I just don't. That fumble was very, very costly at that point in the game where we're trying to build momentum, and to fumble that, I mean, my God, it's just Joe Flacco is either he's checked out or he's just ready to collect the check. I don't know, but I don't want him anywhere near the freaking active roster for any games. So with me, I'm 100% on board with Zach Wilson being QB2, because at the very least, I don't know if Zach Wilson's got it all figured out. I'm not saying Zach Wilson's going to be able to read the field like Mike White, but I still feel like we have more of a chance with Zach than we do with Joe. Now,
so, yeah. So I was just saying, I agree with that. You know,
okay.
I agree with that. I get that because Joe Flacco doesn't. The way I look at it also is, again, he's older. You know, he's not what he was, but he is a playoff quarterback. He is a proven Super Bowl winning quarterback. My thing with Zach, though, is, you know, kind of like what I was mentioning before. And, you know, I get that. I totally get that point. Like, you know, with Zach obviously being a better QB2 option. And, you know, like we said, we're Jet fans, for and foremost. So if Zach comes out and he's great, that's awesome. Right. But that's kind of the point. We want him to maybe be, you know, to hopefully be great. We saw that, you know, talking about that game and how bad it was in the past, you know, that game where he just absolutely killed it. Sorry, you know, it was terrible. You know, it was so bad that that literally, you know, we were saying that we didn't see, you know, the good things that we liked in him. We didn't see, you know, all those things that were great that we liked about Zach Wilson. And because of that, you know, because of that, I was feeling that, you know, he needed to be shut down, and that's what Robert Saleh did. But he needs more time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if he was that bad and he was struggling, you know, and even reading the field, making accurate throws, you know, hitting the wide receiver, but, you know, he even hitting open wide receivers 5 yards away from him, he was missing throws like that. That it was so. I feel like he needs more time. That's my big thing. Like, I feel like if it was that bad. My issue is, you know, if you bring him back out too soon, because he has to retool, he has to figure it out. You know what I mean? He has to literally, like Robert Saleh said, go back to the fundamentals of the things that we loved about him, that we thought that made him great. I'm worried, again, he fell into bad habits. If he comes back too soon, he falls into those bad habits again. And that's dangerous for a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like that could, you know, damage him long term. I don't know, potential. I don't know what you think on that, but that's my fear. I honestly feel like it's tough because, again, we're in the playoffs, right? We're in the playoffs. We want to win. We're close to the playoffs right now. We want to win, but I don't know. You know, it's almost like at what cost? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if he needs to retool and refocus, like Saleh said, and figure it all out, I feel like it's too soon, just a few weeks to do something like that. I don't know what you think.
And I'm not. I see where you're coming from, right? But in the same token, I think if my thought process was that Zach Wilson needed to be QB1, then I'm with you 100%. There's no way we bring him back. He's not going to be ready, and I don't think he'd be ready right now. If he had to come into the game next week for us to feel hopeful that he's going to go ahead and lead us to a freaking, I just don't see it. Zach Wilson, like you said before, he had regressed to a middle school quarterback. Man, you're missing freaking 5-yard screen passes, like by not like minimal misses, like no 10, 20 feet above the head of the wide receiver, unimpeded, clean pockets. And you're right. But in actuality, like you also just said, we are in the midst of a playoff hunt. And right now, every win matters. I think I've been saying it all like since we got to this point that the Jets need to hit that 11 win number in order for us to have that safety net of making the playoffs. If we go to the 10 win number, we're going to need a lot of help from other teams to make it. But man, Zach Wilson, at the very least, I think because he's such a fiery character, and I think right now Zach Wilson is mad as hell. I think all of us, we all know Zach Wilson right now is mad as hell. And I would hope that would allow him to at least elevate his play, even just a bit, right? I mean, he's at 55%, 56%, you know, completion percentage quarterback. I think him being in there and his ability to make big plays with that bat arm of his. I mean, granted, the completion percentage is limited. I just think for some reason, man, like if we lost Mike White right now, I mean, I guess you could always talk Strevler. I guess we could talk Strevler, bless you. But in all actuality, like I'm kind of scared to put Strevler out there, like with live bullets flying when we're in a playoff hunt. I just think, man, Mike White. I mean, Zach Wilson has the game time experience. He has a special arm. It's just if he can slow the game down and process is the biggest thing. We would have to do some simple freaking game plans for him, obviously, but I don't know, man. Something about Joe Flacco, just the way I don't know, man. Joe Flacco right now, there's just just watching, even early on in the season when he started, we all thought we had an elite backup quarterback. I just didn't like his nonchalantness in regards to the game. Unbothered, free. Some are calling it like calm and collected, but there's like no fire there. There's no passion. He messed up, you know what I'm saying, against the game in Baltimore. Like you saw it in the first 3 games. Yes, brought us back in that game against Cleveland. I appreciate that. Beautiful comeback. One of the wildest comebacks we've ever seen before. But there's just something when you look at freaking Joe Flacco, he gives you that feeling of he's just a jag, man. Just another guy. Just another guy that's there. He's gonna go ahead and do his job. He's not gonna give you much more than that. So I really hope there it is. Boogie says it perfectly. Joe checked out. I agree. Boogie says it perfectly. I think the only way to express that is Joe just checked out, bro. Like I don't think he's here. He's here, but I don't think he's really here. And that's why for me, it goes QB1 is Mike White. QB2, based off of, you know what I'm saying, off the limited aspect of it all, like it's Zach Wilson. And then I guess Strevler, I would deactivate Joe. Like I'm at that point where I would deactivate Joe. And I think the other guys all have something to prove. I almost feel like Joe knows he doesn't. And that to me is it's a dangerous thing. It's dangerous when you feel like you don't have anything to prove, especially in the NFL on the back end of his career. Whereas the other 3 guys all have something to prove, and that makes them dangerous as potential players.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, you can see it with Mike White, especially because, his thing is that's what I like about him. Again, like it's almost like, again, like the opposite with Zach, right? Like Zach, you like that motivation, that fire in the pocket. Like that's what he brings, like to the huddle. Like remember that first game he came back in, all the players were like, when he on that last game-winning drive, he's like, let's go score a fucking touchdown. Remember, he's all pumped. He's getting the players pumped. But Mike White, he's Mr. Cool. Right. Like I love that about him. Like he's, moment never gets too big for him. That's the biggest thing that, Robert Saleh, everyone's been talking about, right? That he, moment's not too big. He's definitely, stepping up, making, again, really, really great, accurate throws. But with Zach Wilson, like, and all you guys in the chat, I'd love to hear what you guys think, let me know your guys' thoughts. Appreciate all you guys out there. But shout out to it's Chigaman Porto. Chigaman Porto is saying on top of that, he probably still needs to work through the mental game after the benching. That's just kind of like how I feel. You know what I mean? When I look at Zach, I'm like, again, you guys remember, like, we've talked about it, Gunny. Like, this was my guy. Like, I loved Zach Wilson. Like, this was my quarterback. This is the guy, like, back, like, I was like, this is the guy, 2 overall pick. All those things I loved about him and talked about for so long. But it was like, and, we talked about, again, with all you guys, appreciate all you guys, weeks before that literally felt like, last season he was doing well. He came out, he came back in better after the injury. He was trending up, but this year, exactly. This year, it literally felt like he was regressing at a lot of times. And I felt like, okay, like, and especially games like, that, the Patriots game, the first one, like he made bad decisions, but other than that, he put up good yardage. Players played well, but that last game before they benched him again, Patriots again, it's like they have his number. It was so bad. It was so brutal that, again, it was, like you said, missing guys that were clearly wide open, making horrible throws. I don't even want to, like, I talked about for like weeks after, like just going over the numbers and like how many yards we had in the second half, like was just so nauseating. Like it was so bad that, again, shut him down, needs to retool, literally figure out what we fell in love with. Like, again, shout out to what Jigaman Porto saying. It feels, if you want him to be the guy, you know what I mean? Like you want, for its long term, I understand we're in the playoffs. I get it. I'm a Jet fan. I love it. I want to win. But that's what I was kind of saying before. Like you almost have to measure at what cost. You know what I mean? Like if you bring him out and he's not ready and he falls back into bad habits, does it become, infinitely harder and infinitely more, difficult or detrimental for him to retool? You know what I mean? Like that's what my big take was. I didn't want to see him at all. Like I kind of wanted him shut, even though Salah's saying we'll see him, originally, like when he's ready, I'll play. He'll be playing. I didn't really want to see him at all. And Joe, I get it, man. I mean, you see it with Joe Flacco. He doesn't have that drive anymore. But I mean, I don't know. He obviously didn't look good in the few drives he played. That's the thing. He didn't look good in the few drives he played.
Yeah.
But like you said, he played a couple of good games this season. He is a playoff winning, Super Bowl winning quarterback. I mean, I don't know if being in playoff hunt gives him drive and we're just not seeing it as much. I don't know, but I fear that with Zach. I don't know. That's my big thing. Like, I fear bring him out, like Boogie says, shout out to Boogie, says, don't give up on Zach. He needs to work harder over the summer. I definitely hear what you think, but I felt the same way as well, going back, back when I was, when they shut down Zach. I hate to say it, and I said earlier in the season, we've seen quarterbacks that have struggled for 2 years and then came on great in their third. That's why I just feel like, completely shut down into the offseason. I know the playoffs are there. It's tough. I get it. It's a tough decision.
Now, I think one of the most valuable things you can go ahead and give to any young quarterback is reps, is game reps, right? If Zach Wilson can be the guy, and I'm with Boogie. I'm not giving up on Zach. Like, Zach Wilson, to me, it was a number 2 overall pick, and I've been on record saying this. Zach Wilson has top 5 arm talent in the NFL. It's not even a debate. He has top 5 arm talent. Doesn't mean anything if between the ears he can't put it all together. And that's what sucks about Zach Wilson. To have that much arm talent and the mental processing, the mental hiccups, the ability to not see the field be his hindrance is quite frustrating, because he can make throws that you've seen only Patrick Mahomes make, Josh Allen make, maybe Justin Herbert make. Like, those kind of throws, that's the kind of caliber of throws we've seen him make, albeit inconsistently. So if you're saying we shut Zach down and we focus until next year to go ahead and make it a QB competition, him, Mike White, bring in a freaking veteran, I can't argue that, because it really does benefit the Jets if Zach is the guy. Like, in terms of this, the growing pains we've got to go through. I mean, yes, the rebuild process has gone way faster than we thought it was going to. I know I didn't expect the Jets to be in the playoff hunt. I wanted meaningful games in December. I really thought that meant, hey, we'll see our name in that little in the hunt freaking category come December. Did not realize, like, oh, we were in a position to actually win the AFC East in December. Like, this is what we're talking about. And I think for me, man, that's where I'm like, I can't see myself. I see what you're saying about what Joe Flacco used to be, but man, it's one. If you have 3 guys right now on your roster who are fighting for their careers, because Mike White, Zach Wilson, even Strebler are all fighting for their careers right now, and you've got Joe Flacco, who I do believe he's checked out. I do believe he thinks, like, yeah, won a Super Bowl, made a lot of money. I'm 38 years old. This is a young ass squad. You know what I'm saying? I can only do so much. And I don't think the pressure is on him. And it looks like it's coming off as calm and collected. I know people were saying, man, he's so calm and collected. Or he doesn't care. It can also be he doesn't care. And I think that's where I struggle with it, man. But at the same token, I can understand where you're coming from. And if Zach Wilson is going to be the guy, we have to preserve his mentality, because what if he comes back and we just break him? Like, he becomes that guy that can't bounce back. You know what I'm saying? He becomes the next David Carr, right? And that's also a concern that you got to look into, man. It's a very fine line, but if you ask me, man, let's just pray that Mike White's okay, and we don't need to worry about that at all. If we're being honest,
yeah, that's how I feel, man. Coming back to that quick, because we talked about so much great stuff, which is awesome. Getting into Zach and kind of bring up to appreciate all you guys out there. Appreciate all your guys' thoughts in the chat. Jets gang saying how is White the QB? Saying White ain't hasn't scored like Zach has. White hasn't, led us to game winners like Zach has. Points out Zach is a year 2 QB, and says, only reason I prefer Zach is because he's the future. Zach wins games. And again, appreciate all your guys' thoughts. Everyone's, allowed to their opinion, and I get that. And that's kind of the point. I mentioned this earlier. I feel like it's crazy to not think that Mike White can be the future. You know what I mean? Just because, again, Zach is that 2nd overall pick with an amazing amount of potential, right? Ton of potential. But we've seen top draft picks, I don't want to say it, but haven't worked out. We've seen, you never know how it's going to work. Mike White's a guy, we've been through it. You guys, without going through all of it, we've talked about it, right? The late round pick, never getting the opportunities, compared to Zach, faced more adversity and had less opportunities, taken every opportunity he's got And the numbers, again, just not just the numbers that he's shown us in a small sample size, but what he does is great. This offense is so amazing with him. Look how much Garrett Wilson, think about it, right? Garrett Wilson is balling out. Corey Davis, when he's not knocked out, is
he's
balling out. He's balling out. Denzel
Elijah
Mims
Moore
is balling out.
sightings.
And that's what I was going to say.
Moore
Even
sightings
Elijah
all over
Moore
the place.
is back to balling out. Everybody's balling out. When Mike White's the head of the table, everybody's feasting, man. Everybody's eating. And he's making these unbelievably accurate throws. Like, again, just I've mentioned it before to you guys, in other episodes with Elijah Moore, a couple games back. Same thing this last game. A lot of throws to Garrett Wilson. He throws balls when the guy's sometimes in double coverage or even single coverage. They're so perfect. We have a great yards after the catch right now. Like, we're not talking enough about the yards after the catch because of how great these throws are, how great the decision are, how accurate he is. Again, man, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like, I don't know, man. I feel like we found the guy. And like I meant, how amazing would that be, right? Our franchise quarterback, the 5th round pick, no one saw coming, right? No one saw coming.
I want to say this. The Dallas Cowboys have a knack for picking up quarterbacks in like mid rounds and even undrafted free agents. Case in point, Dak Prescott. Case in point, Tony Romo. And Mike White was their guy. They picked that dude. They wound up letting him go for Cooper Rush or whatever his name is what it is. But again, like, people are like, oh man, Mike White's been in the league. He's a 4-year, 5-year practice squad guy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, he's started 7 games in his NFL career.
Yeah. And he's only started 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then if you look at his 7 starts that he's had thus far, matched him up with Zach Wilson's 7 games this year. And again, this isn't going to be the not Zach Wilson thing. Like, we obviously, clearly on paper, there's going to be people that want Zach Wilson because I think the pedigree, the 2nd overall pick, the potential, the ceiling, that's what it is. Everybody sees what Zach Wilson can be. They're having a hard time seeing what he currently is. And what he currently is. Exactly. So because of what Zach can be, they're not seeing like, well, if Zach could do what Mike White's doing right now, we would be elated as a fan base. We were giving Zach Wilson props for not throwing interceptions in games earlier this year. Man, he had a good game. He didn't throw a pick, man. He was able to go ahead and protect the ball. Like, we were giving Zach Wilson props for protecting the ball this year. But we're having a hard time looking at a guy who's averaging 315 yards per game. As a matter of fact, if you take the 3 game, and I know it's a small sample size, but the 3-game sample size that Mike White has just now given the New York Jets are leading the league in passing offense. They would literally be leading the league in and it wouldn't even be close. Yeah, it wouldn't even be close.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And
that's why it's frustrating, because I'm like, Zach Wilson clearly isn't ready. And for people to keep saying like, oh, he was 5-2, he was 5-2. No, without Breece Hall, he's 1-2. Breece Hall was a huge component of those wins. The defense was a huge component of those wins. Let's not take that out of the elements. I get it. Zach Wilson had a great fourth quarter against the Steelers, right? He played mediocre to below average against Denver, mediocre to below average against the freaking Packers, right? And then you saw the 2 Patriots games. He's had one good quarter, maybe. That Steelers quarter was like, he came back, we were like, bro, okay, Zach's going to ball out. And we didn't see that level of play again. Yeah, he had a 300-yard game against the Patriots, but at what cost? 53% completion percentage, up was 3 interceptions. Like, at what cost did he really get the 300 yards, right? Like,
yeah, and I don't know, man. Yeah, and that's the point, man. Like you say, like, everyone always keeps pointing out, wins is not a metric to measure quarterbacks by.
No,
and
it's not.
you can fit it to your narrative when you want to. Like, and I pointed out before, I've said it on this show, right? I've said, wins are what matter, right? Like, wins isn't the way to measure a quarterback. Wins are what counts, though. Wins are what matter. You want to keep winning. But yeah, Zach was 5-2 against top defenses. But if you look at these numbers, and again, Mike White is playing good teams right now. The Buffalo Bills. It's the numbers, man, are great. Like we said, you said Zach Wilson, 50-something percent completion percentages. Mike White's had multiple games where he's thrown for like 40-something yards and had 80-something percent completion percentages. These last 2 weeks he hasn't. But what's crazy to me, and this is nuts, I feel like no one's talking about this, the fact that in the last 2 weeks, Mike White's thrown the ball 101 times. Is anybody realizing that? In the last 2 weeks, Mike White has thrown the ball over 100 times. That is freaking insane. He's throwing the ball way too much because the running game, I guess, Zonovan Knight's killing it. Like, Zonovan Knight's totally killing it. Loving Zonovan Knight, love to talk about him more. But he's throwing way too much. And, like, you look at these numbers, right? He threw the ball 44 times in this game. He still averaged more yards than Josh Allen did. Right? Yep. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he also didn't throw a pick, right? We're talking about improvement again. He had
in crap weather.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about improvement. We saw the Bengal game. He was amazing. He killed it. And everyone's like, well, that was a fluke, right? Maybe that was a fluke, right? Everyone's saying that. Well, then clearly we had, the game he had against, where is it? The Chicago game.
Chicago Bears.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. The Chicago Bear game, right? Against the Chicago Bears, he absolutely killed it. Again, through, for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And now no interceptions. That was the big thing, right? That he had a really high completion percentage. He threw for 400 yards, set Jet records, but he threw 3 interceptions. Well, now high-ass completion percentage again, 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like we said last week, playing a game where the defense isn't giving you anything, what can you do? And he was, again, just fantastic. The decisions were perfect. Field vision, outstanding. Like just checking everything, outstanding, every box. Like the throws, unbelievably accurate. Let our receivers make big plays. The whole offense is thriving. So people say it can't be the future. He's 27 years old. We've seen quarterbacks play into 40. The point is he's never had opportunities. He's finally getting them now. So like you just said, young kid, why can't we look at Mike White as last year almost like his rookie year? Same way we're looking at Zach, right? Then this year being his second year as a 5th round pick, it's so infinitely more impressive. It's infinitely impressive what he's doing. And man, we didn't even talk about this last game. Those hits, like we said, the offensive line was rough, man. The offensive line was absolutely atrocious. They let Mike White out there to die. Like he was literally murdered out there. And I think somebody pointed out, I forgot who, shout out to you guys in the comments. Somebody pointed out that the hits were clean. They were clean. But they were vicious. I was like, are you hitting Mike White or are you hitting the guy that bullied you in 3rd grade? Like, wait a minute, right? Like those were vicious ass hits, like laying him out. So yeah, he got hurt, right? Goes out the first time, comes back. That second time, man, we knew he like broke ribs or something. Like we knew. I
swore he did. I swore he did. I was just like, he's done.
We knew it. And obviously doesn't even go to the blue tent, goes all the way back to the locker room. I figured I was furious. Like I don't know if you saw on Twitter. I literally put it, I'm so fucking angry right now.
Yeah,
I was just furious.
I did too.
I was so pissed because I'm like, we're in this game. The whole team's playing well, right? It was 0-0 for like ever. The defense is playing great in this crap weather. Mike White's playing well, and they killed him. Like literally broke his ribs.
When he died on the field.
Came back out, basically. Yeah. Basically. And that's why I love, I'm going to come to what Connor McGovern said. What he said was amazing. Like all these guys had such great things. That's what I wanted to get to, that he came back out was insane. That he came back out was crazy. Like that was a man. He comes back out. We know he's in pain. First play, stands in and throws a beautiful pass to Garrett Wilson. Like, and he continued to take big hits. And every time he went down and you could tell he was in pain, but he got back up and he kept going and almost brought us back again in a game where he was out. Like, and I just want to, shout out to the teammates because we said, that the chemistry of the team is the most important thing. Right? Facts. The locker room is Mike White's. This is Mike White's locker room. The team loves him. Like we said, they like Zach Wilson. They kill somebody for Mike White. So after this game, after what this man did, hearing what these guys said, right? Dwayne Brown at first, they asked him, he kind of, was honest and said, we got to do a better job protecting him. But he pointed out him coming out, was just amazing. But, some of the better ones, Bam Knight, what Bam Knight said, he didn't want to leave his team hanging. For Mike White to come back and still go out there and be able to execute with his ribs hurting and the pressure and the hits he was taking, it says a lot about Mike White as a player and as a leader of this team. Then they even asked Elijah Moore, who we know, when you put a camera, a mic in Elijah Moore's face, you don't know what you're getting.
You have no idea.
It's almost like, I don't want to say he's Kyrie Irving, but it's dangerous. You put a mic in his
equivalent.
face.
Yeah.
He's
that football equivalent.
But what he said, man, was Mike White, he said when Mike White kept coming out in the game over and over and over again, it just showed his heart. It's like, I respect him for doing that. When you keep play QB and you keep getting hit play after play after play, the man took a beating. He's like, I have major respect for him. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, everything they were saying about the Garrett Wilson went on. Mike White has got a lot of heart. He's going to lay it on the line for his boys. And I would do the same for him. Literally the same guy that said he'd go to war for Mike White. Yeah. Freaking Michael Carter says he's a fucking soldier. But these two were some of my favorite ones. And these ones, I like, the mainstream media didn't even put these two out. And these were two I heard, put out on Twitter. They were two that I really loved. Tyler Conklin said Mike White was very easily banged up enough to sit on the sideline, which is a fact. We didn't expect him to come out, but he didn't. He didn't say that part. He said Mike White is very easily banged up enough to sit on the sideline, but he didn't. He kept getting back up. He kept going back out there and fighting with us, trying to give us a chance to win. It's a great example of why all of us love playing with Mike White. I was like, and then Connor McGovern says there's a lot of fight in Mike White. You can't deny that he's willing to do whatever it takes, sacrifice whatever he needs to sacrifice to get this team a W. As long as he's breathing, he's playing. Like, look, it's something you definitely respect a ton. Like,
look, Mike White, to me, proved this. For the rest of the season, as long as he's willing and capable, he starts games. I'm sorry. He starts games. I don't see a situation this year where Mike White comes out of that game unless he's injured. And I hope as we go down this I guess you can say stretch of games, we need to win at least 3 of them. I would like to win all of them. He gets a chance to go into the playoffs. And I love what Coach Salas said, if I'm being honest. Coach Salas stated in his press conference that it was frustrating to go ahead and do all the right things, but literally 3 plays ultimately cost us this loss against the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills, because that was that team with the full defense and their full offense. We went toe to toe with those guys, and 3 plays cost us the game. CJ Mosley, love him, like high IQ guy, but that hurt. That freaking offsides gave him their first points of the day. That sucked. Then you got freaking the Michael Carter freaking fumble and the Joe Flacco fumble. Those 3 games all gave up points. We lost by 8 points. I don't know how else you can look at that game and people are like, oh, well, Mike White doesn't score. Like the case in point, the Minnesota game, we could have won that game. Mike White threw a beautiful pass to Braxton Berrios in the end zone. It gets dropped. What was Mike White supposed to do? Let me go ahead and walk it over to you, Berrios, and hand it to you, because he couldn't have thrown it any better in that tight window to win the game.
Yeah, and even just shout out to Mike White when they asked him about it, literally pointed out that wasn't Berrios' initial route and that he changed it based on, seeing the defense, but he dropped it. But that was, again, just being the leader, being like, we got to shout him out, for doing this thing. Like, just everything. It's like, all those things, and I felt this way his rookie season. A lot of things we were hearing from Zach Wilson, like the learning, the attitude. It's amazing. With Mike White, man, it's all there. It's all there. Like this kid, again, just these guys. Like all those quotes are from yesterday. You said it before. They called Mike White a dog. They all said that. Like unanimously, they were like 15 people interviewed called Mike White a dog. But on top of that, all those things they were saying, man, just. I love it, man. I really, really do. I absolutely love it. So, appreciate all you guys in the chat. A couple of guys, asking a couple of questions, appreciate, what you guys think. If you have any questions, let us know. Boogie Down asks, question, how does Zach build a relationship with the wide receivers to gain their confidence next year, especially with Garrett Wilson? I don't know if Gunnar, you want to maybe take that one?
Yeah, man. In all actuality, I think it's going to be a steep hill to climb, because not only do these guys love Mike White, they respect Mike White. He's making them look good. Mike White, again, is putting passes in these guys' hands, allowing them to create, because we got playmakers in Elijah Moore, playmakers in Garrett Wilson, playmakers in Corey Davis. Denzel Mims looking like he could be a starter in the league now. Like, these are grown men who are also reliant on the quarterback to perform well so they can get paid. Garrett Wilson just broke the all-time freaking rookie record for receiving yards for a wide receiver because of Mike White. He was not on track to do that when Zach Wilson was in. it's going to be very difficult for Mike to be on this roster next year and for Zach Wilson to go ahead and build on those relationships. And I think at the end of the day, they're all professionals. If Zach wins out and he becomes a starting quarterback next year, then so be it. I don't think this team is just going to hand it to Zach. So I do believe we've got professionals in the culture, and this is strong enough to at least give Zach an opportunity. But man, he's got a real steep hill to climb, man, because Mike White right now, he's saying the right things, he's playing the right way. You're seeing this offense actually look like a legitimate NFL caliber offense. If we have the O-line gets taken care of in the offseason, bruh, you know what? That's a conversation for the offseason. We're still in 2022, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But no, to answer your question, Boogie Down, man, it would take Mike White couldn't be on the team. Mike White, I think, could not be on the team for Zach to really get the respect of the players, or he needs to blow Mike White out of the water in training camp and in the preseason for those guys to really feel like, okay, he's obviously QB1. Because if Mike's on the team, the way these guys have performed under Mike White, it's going to be very hard for Zach to go ahead to get or maintain the respect of the wide receivers.
Yeah, and like we said before, it's the numbers. Like, how does Zach Wilson do that next year is a question, but honestly, again, like you said, man, I feel like it's Mike White's team to lose right now. And that's the point, right? When Tom Brady came in, and that's the comparison people are making, right? That late round pick nobody saw coming. And I love the story behind that, man. But we could talk about that. But, no one, when Tom Brady came in and was killing it, no one was like, oh, well, where's Drew Bledsoe? You know what I mean? Like if Mike White's killing it, that's what we want. We want to keep winning. So obviously, he hasn't won these games, but these were big games against really good teams, and he kept us in it. Even this last game, like we said, where he was pretty much killed out there, like legitimately, like he was so hurt. He had to go, and you guys saw, I put out the news, and stuff, after the game, today as well. He had to go to the hospital immediately after the game. And it wasn't, Robert Saleh did point out it's not an emergency thing whatsoever, but, it's a precautionary thing that he was he's so badly hurt that he was so badly hurt. He needs to at least be checked out by other medical people beyond our guys. Like that's how bad it was. Yeah.
He had internal bruising. They were just making sure there was no internal bleeding to go along with it. Like they were like, yeah, no, he's got internal bruising all over the spot. It was the bleeding they were concerned about. They didn't say whether or not they got it. They caught that because I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to put him on some kind of medication that could be an issue. So that could be let's not go ahead and put the full report out there. But the concern was that he was suffering from internal bleeding. So I mean, I hope that's not the case. And obviously he seemed fine today standing there. So I don't know what the procedure is to stop that kind of stuff if it is the case. But he definitely has internal bruising on probably his organs for all we know.
Yeah, and that's the point, man. Like again, just the toughness. Like again, he took that second hit. It was brutal, all the hits he was taking, but we didn't expect him to come back. Like that's why I was so freaking angry. Like that's it. Like he's not in right now. Is he going to be back the following week? Like that's all of a sudden my thought. Like, Is he okay in that aspect? Okay, the fact that he just came back is insane, right? You heard, all these things these guys were saying. If he's breathing, he's playing, right? Like Mike White literally has shown the team and us he will die for the team. Like he literally like that, and that's what you want. Like the players, will do anything for you. You'll do anything for them. That's literally what he showed. That's the point. That's the leadership that he showed. And that's, I want to, shout that out as well. Because, in today's interview, they, spoke to Mike White as well. I have it right up here. They spoke to Mike White as well in today's interviews. And, he said, I knew if everything was fine, I was going in. He said, you would have had to peel me off that field. It was never in my mind that I wasn't finishing the game. Like just unbelievable stuff. Like that was the point, right? And, obviously he's in crazy amounts of pain, but they asked him if he could play this week. He's like, yeah, I feel good. He's like, I'm going to prepare. And that's what Robert Saleh said. If he can play, he will. He said he's preparing as such and he's ready to play. He said, I feel like I can play. I feel like I'm ready to roll. He's such a tough dude, man. Like just unbelievable. Like I am. It's Spartan. Crazy. And that's the point. Like, that's the point, man. Like, I'm just like, again, I don't want to I really feel it. I really feel like, again, what we talked about with what he's done performance-wise, with the numbers he's put up, all of it all together, to this accumulation of like the chemistry this team has, but what he's willing to go through. again, young dude, right? Young dude. It feels like it is his team to lose. And we love for Zach Wilson to potentially show he can be the guy. But it feels like Mike White is. It feels like Mike White to me is showing that he can be the guy. And I'm just freaking, it's amazing, man. It's absolutely amazing.
I see we got Green Bean in the chat. We got Jets. What's he say? Jets the rest are against us. Mike Kosh Jets all the time says, ask a question. I don't know if you see it. If Mosley did not take that chance, do you think that they would have stopped him on the QB fake? They weren't going to snap the ball. The whole play was to go ahead and get the offsides. They talked about it after the fact. Like, they weren't going to snap the ball. Like, the way the defense was playing, and they had already lost one before, they weren't going to do it. I mean, again, if CJ Mosley makes that freaking tackle, like, it's perfectly timed, and we're like, wow, amazing heads up play, great stuff. But at the end of the day, they weren't going to snap the ball. It was legitimately a play that caused all that extra motion. That's why the tight end, I think it was Knox, that came up behind the QB and then did the snap count to go ahead and force what CJ Mosley thought was going to be the actual QB sneak. So, yeah, that's what sucks about it, because they admitted they weren't going to actually go for it after the fact.
Yeah, man. And yeah, Green Bean, it's so awesome to see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Freaking awesome dude. I've had him on before, and everyone knows who Green Bean is. Obviously,
everybody knows.
Green Bean's got his amazing channel.
Yeah,
everyone knows who Green Bean is.
You know who that guy is.
But all you guys out there, love your guys' comments. Appreciate all you guys. Jets gang point out, Packers have a good defense. Garrett got locked up by Alexander. White playing. Yeah.
Can I jump on that real quick? So everybody that's saying, oh, the defense is that. Listen, if you go back and look at the actual statistics, everybody that's saying these defenses were like next level, we're going off of last year's statistics, because this year they have not looked that good. In fact, the only good defenses legitimately that, if you can look up right now, that are still decent this year or good this year, is Denver and freaking the Bills. Even the Patriots are frauds. The Patriots are good against Zach Wilson and below 500 teams. That was it. They have not been able to go ahead and compete with any team that's a winning organization, Zach Wilson and below 500 teams. So their stats are also padded based off of fraudulent activity. So I get it. People are saying like, oh, it was tough. But like, if you look at it, there was only one winning team. Well, I guess you can count the Dolphins without Tua. There was one winning team other than that we played in the first half of that schedule, and it was the Bills. Like, it wasn't that impressive of a freaking run when you look at it, where everyone's going off of, oh, well, the defense was this, that, and the other. Yeah, those defenses were good last year. The Packers defense has not been that impressive this year. If you watch those games, every other team that they've played has made them look kind of silly. So, like, for me, whenever I keep hearing, oh, Zach got the freaking hard part of the schedule and blah, blah, blah. We've seen Zach play against a weak freaking Miami Dolphins team. Those numbers look like what? That's how I check. Breece Hall freaking like dominated that entire game. Like, so I don't understand the logic of like, and again, I understand he's our number 2 overall pick. Like, I'm not naive to the fact that I too was huge, big supporter of Zach Wilson. Like, if you go back on my channel, I have a whole video dedicated to Zach Wilson dominating this year. You know what I'm saying? Progressing from what we saw last year. But the facts are the facts. Like, we are seeing somebody who was managing those wins, and he managed them well. And in this situation, like, we have a quarterback legitimately leading the offense effectively. People are saying, oh, well, he's 1-2. Like, he lost. He hasn't scored games. The Chargers just beat the Dolphins, didn't they? And didn't the Panthers just beat the Seattle Seahawks? We were not going to go 17-0, everybody. Like, no, as much as people want to believe the Jets were going to be like, what, 15-2? We were not going to go undefeated. It was never going to happen. So to go ahead and see losses happening shouldn't be a shock, or something that we're utilizing to go ahead and justify one thing or the other. Just look at the statistics. If you look at and it doesn't have to be just this year. Just look at last year when he had softer individuals on the back end of the schedule. Look at the statistics. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close. I hope Zach Wilson figures it out, because I do believe, again, I think his arm talent is top 5 arm talent in the league. Unfortunately, the talent means nothing if mentally You know what I'm saying? And the footwork is not there, the mentality is not there, then it's a moot point.
Yeah, we've
But
seen
like
quarterbacks like, Jamarcus Russell, who can have
facts
the strongest arm in the world. He could
in the
throw it
world.
from one end zone to 10 others. But
Didn't matter.
remember,
Paxton
like,
Lynch
remember when Hackenberg, they said he couldn't hit water.
couldn't.
I thought that was still amazing. Like, that always killed me, that it leaked out that someone within the Jets organization had said that their quarterback couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Like, that always just killed me, man. That always just killed me. But this, like you said, but the whole thing though about playing these defenses, yeah, Zach, did play, like you said, good defenses that, maybe were better last year. You're going by, last year's statistics, people saying, that Mike White didn't play as good defenses. He just played two of the best teams in football. Minnesota Vikings are one of the best teams in football. The Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in football, top of the AFC. Even if your defense isn't ranked high, and I talked about this just the other week, they're players, right? They're individuals. They have good games. They have bad games like everybody else. We've seen guys, wide receivers, great wide receivers have bad games. Good cornerbacks have, okay cornerbacks have great lockdown games on wide receivers because they're human beings. We see this all the time. If they're a top-ranked team, they're top-ranked, the high record. If they have a good record, they have a good record for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, they're that record. The Bills are the number one team in the AFC for a reason.
And the Vikings are the number 2 team in the NFC.
That's the point. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying. So, like, again, statistically, like you said, Zach played better passing defenses at the time, but a lot of those teams weren't as highly, like you said, they're not doing as well record-wise. These other teams, again, if they are, they may not be as highly statistically ranked, but if they have that record, it's not magic. You don't become 9-2, but magically it has to. So that's exactly it. And like Mike Koss says, shout out to all your guys' comments. He said it's also, that we were behind the game. That's why Mike White was throwing the ball so much to create explosive plays. That's the problem as well. We're judging Mike White in a game. He got knocked out. We're playing from behind. He's been playing from behind a good amount. Right. And we look at these numbers, right? I mean, he threw the ball in this last game over 44 times. He's still at a higher completion percentage than Josh Allen. And he threw for more yards per throw. Yeah. He threw more yards per. Like that. Statistically, he's been unbelievable. I'm really, again, just so impressed with what I've seen from him.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, again, and I get it. I'm sorry. And again, this isn't a shot. I'm trying to call them the Zach Truthers or the Zacaneers, and to me, it's a collaboration of you look at Zach and you see what he can become, and I get it. But right now, this rebuild has been accelerated by 2 years. No, I expected us to win 8 to 9 games this year. And to have being that little freaking metric, you know what I'm saying? While we're opening up gifts for Christmas, we're watching. Oh, look, the Jets are still in the hunt for the playoffs. I never thought that in this year, with this young roster, during this rebuild process, we would be just having discussions about potentially being the AFC East champions. I mean, granted, now that's going to be a far-fetched achievement, but nonetheless, we can still go ahead and make the playoffs. Like, we're really not far off from still making the playoffs if we handle business moving forward.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the playoffs, but like Green Bean points out, Green Bean says, dude, did you hear Garrett's comment about what the ref said to him after the late hit? Points it out, that what they're saying, this isn't Ohio State anymore. That was pretty funny.
What?
That was pretty, you didn't hear about that?
No.
You didn't hear about that? Oh, shit. So that's some pretty funny stuff, bro. So apparently there was articles about this, shout out to Green Bean. Green Bean pointed out, said apparently there was comments said that, and the comment is that this isn't Ohio State anymore. I guess they're making the reference, like in college football, you can get away with more, right? Or more stuff, I guess, will be called. I'm not really sure the direct. I hadn't seen it. I just heard it. I'm not sure.
If they're referring to the late hit, when Mike White came back in through that,
I think they're referring to that late hit.
And like Garrett was clearly out of bounds and took that hit. That's not Ohio State stuff. That's NFL stuff. That's just that ref is trash. If it's the same ref that I'm thinking about, I think it's the same ref that called out for that got called out by Jalen Ramsey for being trash, and he should be investigated. 104 or something like that is his freaking ref number or whatever the crap he is. He's trash. He's horrible. And if he's the one that said that, I swear to God, the NFL needs to investigate this cat because Garrett Wilson was clearly out of bounds when he got hit. Clearly out of bounds. Both feet out of bounds. Boom. My man came in for the hit. So if he made that statement, and I don't see why Garrett Wilson would make that up. that should be a huge red flag. I said, okay, so then the refs are obviously out there holding on to the flag because what? He's a Jet? Because plain as day, if you watch the video on that, and I watched it a couple of times because I wasn't too sure at first, he was out of bounds, bro. Like Garrett Wilson was clearly out of bounds. And that ref is trash. That ref is so
that comment shouldn't be made. I mean, like, you're the guy literally calling the game. Like, it's obviously a late hit, but like, what are you basically saying? Like, this is the NFL, so we're not going to call as much? Like,
yeah.
What are you saying to the guy? Like, I'm a little confused.
What's the logic behind
like,
that, bro? That I did not see it. I did not hear about that. Green. That just pissed me off, though. Thank you, Green Bean. I appreciate it.
Jeremy's calling you out.
Oh, he got jokes.
Jets Chaos calling you out. He's got jokes.
Me and Jets Chaos are supposed to be. We're supposed to be sparring. We're still trying to figure out when this is going to happen. Me and him are going to be sparring a little bit.
That's funny, bro. That's funny. Shout out, Jeremy. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Jiggy point out, Jiggy saying that ref is trash. Jets fans saying, wow, feels like the refs are against us, but I don't want to complain. Bro, I was saying about the week before, right? Remember that game before, the week before, the Viking game, right? Where they were like, it was insane, like that pass interference on Corey Davis that literally started the game. Like, talk about we talked about that on the channel. Talk about momentum changer in that game, like absolutely crazy. And then that one with Denzel Mims, where the guy he didn't even turn around. Like he just ran right into Denzel. Like he was trying to take him the hell out. Like he didn't even turn his head. Like they made fun of Sauce saying, but Sauce plays smart. Sauce turns his head. He's more physical. Right. That was great. That was just that was So I felt like that in that game, like that, and then they're calling the shit on us, like the holdings and stuff. That was crazy to me. I mean, I don't know. Jet fans saying it feels like the refs are against us, but I don't want to complain. It's felt like that. I mean, we've been saying that for years, right? We've been saying that for a long time. But hey, the Jets are coming, man. The Jets are coming. We're here. We're playing with that. Like Salah says, he literally said today, and he said it in the past before, that we can go toe to toe with anybody, and we feel that way. So eventually they're gonna have to start calling shit fair. We're here.
I mean, and the thing is that I love about this team is they know it, because I know you watched the freaking One Jets Drive where he was talking about like this only happens to the Jets, right? When all of a sudden the momentum killer that had the freaking camera coming down, and they talk about this stuff. They already know they're playing the refs. They already know they're playing the other team, and this is why they should play more disciplined football, right? So you're right, though. At some point or another, even with playing teams and playing the refs, the Jets are going toe to toe with the Vikings, going toe to toe with the freaking Buffalo Bills, right? And it took a couple of mistakes on our part for them to go ahead and get the dub. It's what it is. Let them go ahead and keep calling it the way they are. It just makes it that much sweeter whenever we do get these W's anyway.
Exactly, man. Exactly. All you guys in the chat, want to, answer all your guys' questions you're saying. So Mike Haas says, if Mosley did not take that chance, do you think they would have stopped him on the QB fake? I do want to say this, and I said this about Mosley, at the end of the game. He was getting a lot of flack for that. But we do have to remember what he did the game before. I think we actually started 2 games before, where, again, just unbelievable football IQ. He, bluffed off the inside guard to get Huff the edge there. He's got a very high football IQ. I think he must have saw something. Maybe he thought it looked like the center flip. I don't know what it was, but at the end of the game, he made 2 crucial plays. We can't forget that. So, yeah, he takes a lot of flack for that. But at the end of the game, on that last drive, what got us the ball back, he made 2 crucial plays. He made that awesome pass coverage play that needed to happen and that huge tackle to cause the 4th down. So he's literally the reason we got the ball back to even have a chance. So I feel like Mosley makes mistakes here and there, but he is our defensive leader, man. Like, he is the leader on our defense. He is, awesome.
I love me some CJ Mosley. I love me some CJ Mosley. But I'm simply stating that that's how close the game was. That 3 mistakes went in their favor to allow them to win the game. Again, CJ Mosley, I think, is one of the smartest football players we have on this team. I mean, hell, it's been alluded that he's the only person on the defense, absolutely, the only person in the entire team authorized to call audibles, right? So that says a lot where the coaches are like, yeah, okay, you can make the audibles. You know what I'm saying? Don't get crazy with it, but we trust you to do it. And he's more often than not, he's right. He's batting 80% when it comes to him making a move. I think what happened in that particular situation is the snap count. So the snap count is very similar to what Josh Allen does whenever he's going to do a quarterback sneak. The difference this time was Josh Allen stepped back, and I think the play call was, if it's not Josh Allen calling that particular snap count, you don't move. And when the tight end Knox went back there and called the similar snap count, he's heard the snap count before, and that's why I think he made the move. And at first I didn't know what the hell he was thinking, but of course I watched it again today, and then I watched the snap count of Josh Allen on the last 4 fourth down runs, quarterbacks that they've done, and it was the exact same snap count. The only difference in this situation was that Knox was calling it vice Josh Allen, and I think that's what ultimately got him to jump, because he is a high IQ guy. Only reason I think he makes that move is because he recognized something that he knew, boom, this is when they're going to hike it. And I think, honestly, it was the snap count.
No, I'm 100% with you, man. Yeah, I saw, he's taking a lot of, flack on social media, but I'm like, this is CJ Mosley. Like, he is the leader on our defense. Like, he's the captain. Like, he is a great player. Like, he's not what he used to be, but he's actually, but he's fast as hell this year. That's the point. He's lost weight. Yeah, exactly. He's flying all over the field, man. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, so, one guy I'd love to, get your opinion on as well, which we haven't talked about, is Mr. Bam Knight. So, Bam Knight's a guy. Oh, man. Bam Knight's a guy. You guys know, again, you guys out there, appreciate all you guys who've been following me. I was saying I didn't want him off the 53. Like, I thought Ty would be gone well before him. I was like, you can't let this guy go. I didn't think he was going to make it through waivers. Like, I'm still pretty impressed that he made it through waivers, because, Michael Carter pointed it out when we brought him on. Like, they played each other in the ACC, and I watched both of them in the ACC. He's like, I don't get how Bam Knight went undrafted. And I was with Michael Carter in that. I don't get how he went undrafted. So, like, I was thinking originally, okay, it'd be Breece Hall next year as running back 1. Unbelievable. Then Michael Carter, then Bam. But, man, Bam is freaking amazing, bro. So I got to point this out because I looked it up today, and, stat to point out with Bam. So it's his first 3 games he's played. In these first 3 games he's played, first week he played, he had 14 carries, averaged 4.9 yards per carry, caught everything, 100% catch rate. Next game, 15 carries, 6 yards per carry, caught everything, 100% catch rate. Next game, last week, 17 carries, 4.2 yards per carry, caught everything again, hasn't dropped a ball yet, 100% catch rate, 298 total yards over the last 3 weeks. In fact, as of right now, I know this is Monday Night Football, but as of right now, he ranks 4th in the entire NFL in his rushing yards, tied for 4th in these last 3 weeks. Man, Bam's running back 1 right now until Breece returns. And when Breece returns, it's Bam and him. Like, I thought it was Michael Carter, man. And Michael Carter, he's still part of this. He had a bad fumble. It was the guy punched it out. He totally got that ball out, got the best of Michael Carter. He's still part of this. But, man, Bam Knight is special.
Yeah, Bam Knight to me, bro, is like such an amazing golden egg that I guess we've had access to this whole time, and we just haven't had a chance to see, right? I know I was with you, man. I did not want him off the 53, man. I said if everyone's going to leave, it's going to be Tevin Coleman and freaking Ty Johnson. When I heard Ty Johnson was on the roster still, man, I was salty as hell. And I thought we were going to lose him. I did. I did not even anticipate at that aspect that he would be this freaking good. Like, seeing him get these opportunities and just running with it, very explosive, one-cut guy, very, very decisive runner as well. And you've seen him make the first, second, third man miss consistently and often. Bro, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, 100%. It's Breece, it's Bam, then it's Michael Carter. And that 3-man, that 3-headed monster next year, bro, in all actuality, man, next year's quarterback's not going to really matter much. They won't, because as long as these guys can stay healthy, our defense takes that next step, and we add some pieces to the offensive line, and that safety, we got to do something at safety. I think you could put a game manager back there and let those boys eat. I really think you're going to be a defense.
Hey, but we've seen Mike White ain't a game manager. Mike White is not stepping up. Not.
He can ball.
I love
he can ball.
Man. Mike White's
I'm just saying, like, even if we only had to have a game manager, is what I'm saying. That's how good I think this running back room is going to be next year. And as much as we're worried about the quarterback aspect now, I do believe the offense is going to run through the running game next year, because that is too much talent. You're going to piss off a lot of defenses. Oh, man, Breece Hall's coming off the field. Oh, shit. Here comes Bam. Okay, Bam's coming off the field. Oh shit, Brees is back. Like, there's no break. you're
Bro,
not getting a break.
Our offense was literally being run through Brees Hall for the beginning of the season. That's why Zach didn't have to do much. No one was doing much. It was the Brees Hall show. Like this kid, everyone was saying, like, offensive rookie of the year, a couple of weeks played, done. Like, still just breaks my heart thinking about it, man. Because like you said, him being there, it was him. It was our offense ran through him. And right now, we're not doing it enough. And that's what's crazy to me. And that's my other thing with Zonovan Knight. All those stats I just pointed out. 6 yards a carry a week, 4 points, always averaging over 4 yards a carry, caught everything his way. He's only playing 50% of the snaps. Like, we need more of him. We ran through Brees Hall. Maybe it's time to try to run through Zonovan Knight. Maybe it's try to see if Bam Bam could be a run-through guy because the numbers are showing. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing it. So we got to lean on that running game more. We really do. He's getting, 17 carries a game. It's a decent amount, but heck, man, when Brees was killing it, maybe we got to run through Zonovan a little bit too.
I agree 1,000,000,000%. In fact, now that you've brought that up, I do believe that we lost that Minnesota Vikings game because of freaking our offensive coordinator. I love what Michael LaFleur did for the most part of that game, but you get into the red zone, you get on the 1 yard line, and why are we doing trick plays? Here, Bam, I need you to go score. Like we would have done it with Brees. It would have been Brees would have got the ball 4 times even to win that game. And to me, I put a lot of the weight of that loss against Minnesota because those guys weren't going to score again. The defense was not going to allow them to score again. It was just a matter of us getting into the freaking end zone. 2 times. 2 times out of the 6 times that we got down there, getting to the end zone, just win that game. I don't know why we didn't just say, you know what? Our guy is better than your guy. We think our running back can go ahead and run through your guys. And we're going to go ahead and put the helmets on. This is football. Run the ball. Get into the end zone. Bro, I'm so salty about that. I'm so salty about that because 6 times, man, 6 times you only come out with 1 touchdown. What are we doing? Yes, Jigga, 100%. He is overthinking.
People were saying that, bro. And I mean, like, and here's my thing. And I said it, shout out to Green Bean. It was on before. We had an episode just last year where we, like, just for 2.5 hours alone, talked about, is Michael LaFleur the guy? This was back in the beginning of last season when we were all questioning him and the implication of him ruining Zach Wilson at that time if he isn't the guy. We've seen some great stuff from him, like some really great plays, smart plays, trickery, excellent plays, but then we see this other shit like the red zone offense and these other things we call. Like, again, Michael Carter's a great running back, but you're running it through the gut. It's Bam Bam time. Like, bam it through the middle, baby. Like, I'm just like, I'm struggling with it. It's like, I don't know what it is. Like, he's shown what he can be. I almost feel like I don't want to say it, but like, is Mike LaFleur the Zach Wilson of offensive coordinator? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm starting. Because that's what we were saying about Zach. Like, he's got all this talent and he showed us what he can do. But then, fuck.
That's
what I'm starting. That's what I'm starting to think, bro. Because it's like people are all saying it. Now, a lot of people are pointing out how great our offense has looked, right? And statistically, how well we've looked.
Yeah.
It's since Mike White. We got to call a spade a spade. It's when Mike White's back there. But again, some of this play calling, we've all been questioning it. People pointing out, the 2-minute offense, red zone offense,
and even against the Bills, like why couldn't we start off the game in the first half the way we did in the second half? Like it was like, all right, Mike, we're gonna have you sling the ball a little bit. We're down, and now we need to score. Why couldn't we just do that in the beginning, like from the jump? And yeah, man, I think Jigga nailed it on the head, man. I think he's just overthinking it. I don't know why he's overthinking it. He does have the tools. He has the actual weapons. He's got the playmakers. Bro, just play football, dog. Like, it doesn't have to be this elaborate thing where, okay, you know what I'm saying, we're going to do this trick play here. No, we're on the 1 yard line. It's first and goal. I got an idea. Let's just fucking run the ball. Let's try that. Let's just do that 3 times. And if they stop us, they stop us. But I think we're better than they are. Let's just do the damn thing. It's
that's why people question the play calling as well. I'd love to hear what you think. We'll make last things. And they said, you had to get going, and appreciate you being on here, man.
Oh, easy.
Been awesome chat, bro. Same thing, bro.
Always, man.
Just love it. Always a treat. Appreciate you, my man. But man, just like people were saying, we should have went for a touchdown on that last drive like that. And that was, I think it was Romo, I believe it was saying, it was either him or Nance. I think it was Romo. He was saying that, if we went for a touchdown on that last drive, then, you're already in the red zone. Now you're getting the ball with a minute and change back. It's easier to get in field goal range.
Yeah.
I get that. But at the same time, I think the way Robert Saleh is looking at it, what happens if we don't get it? Like, that's the thing. If we go for it on fourth and we don't get it, that's it. Like, that's all she wrote. Like, there is no other opportunity. So I feel like, again, just that Monday morning quarterback of questioning that. I get wanting to go for the touchdown, but I'd love to hear what you think. But to me, it makes sense because, Buffalo, like we said, they're the top team in the AFC for a reason. Their defense, they've been blasting Mike White all day. They could step the hell up and not give us an inch. And if they don't give us an inch and we turn it over, that's all she wrote. There is no other opportunity.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, right? In terms of like you got to go with the smarter play, but we were down 2 scores, right?
We were, yeah.
And we were seeing the struggles happen. We didn't know if we were going to get back there again, back into that red zone again. And I think the momentum was in our favor. So the analytics state that in 4th and short like that, you go for it. It was like 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 or something like that. Like you go for it, right? Analytics say like it's in your favor that you're going to get it. And I do agree. I think in that situation, like you're going up against the Super Bowl favorite. Like this isn't just it's the Super Bowl favorite. Oh, and by the way, they're also in your division, right? Like for me, you go for the win, man. You go for the jugular. And I think you saw the Jacksonville Jaguars do that a couple weeks back. And I loved it. Even though right now they're just trying to scrape back to being relevant. They had tied the game. No, they were down. They came back I forget who they were playing, but they came back, scored a touchdown. I think it was against the Titans, actually. Came back, scored a touchdown, did a field goal, ties it. Instead, they were like, you know what? Let's go for the 2, right? And you're sitting there like, what the hell? What are you doing? Go for the 1. You know what I'm saying? There's still time. Y'all can go into overtime. They were like, nah. They went for it, and they won, right? They put the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hand, made a beautiful throw, and they won the game. I love that, man. And I think in a situation like this on Sunday, the thing they're not expecting you to do is to go for it. That is the thing that you could have lined up and pretended to go for it. They would have thought you weren't faking. That gives you that slight advantage of hiking the ball and catching them sleeping. So yeah, I'm with them on that one, man. The analytics, well, you should have went for the T. To hell with the analytics. Jets fans.
Yeah, that's what everyone seems to be saying. I mean, I get it. That's the thing. I kind of see both. I mean, like that was kind of like my thing. Like I get wanting to go for it, and again, it makes sense. Like you said, the analytics say to go for it. Like even Jets fans says, to hell with the analytics, go for the touchdown.
Go for the
like Andrew says, 4th and 1. Put our that's funny, bro. Put our D lineman up the gut. I mean, yeah, Zonovan was killing it all day, man. He was absolutely killing it. So if you can push the center, I'm just trying to say, I guess I get the logic, but it does make sense because again, you get that touchdown there. Now, it is easier with a minute and change. You don't have to get it in the end zone. You just have to get within range. And we've seen our field goal, franchise.
The leg.
I was going to say the guy that now holds the record for the longest Jets field goal just happens to be the Jets kicker right now. So I get it. It makes sense. Like, yeah, I get that. I don't know. I was just thinking about it again from that perspective. I mean, but I don't know. It would have been interesting. But again, it's same thing, Monday morning quarterback, right? If they would have went for it and not got it,
we would have all been like, what the hell were they doing?
Ripped apart, like they cost us the game. Like that was right? Like they cost us the game. That's it. It's over. So that's what I'm saying. Like I get the call, but yeah, I get, especially you're in the edge of the playoffs. You know what I mean? Obviously, before this loss, you're in the edge of the playoffs. You're right there. You want to keep winning. We didn't expect this, right? We didn't expect to be this good, right? We didn't expect to be in the playoffs, right? So yeah, in fact, it makes sense.
Somebody said, I saw this tweet earlier today, and I thought to myself, that couldn't have been put any better. The New York Jets, this rebuild has been accelerated dramatically. We were all hoping to be that 7 to 9 win team this year and just be on the freaking little thing that says, oh, look, potentially in the hunt. Like we're legitimately in playoff consideration. We're playing with house money. Somebody said, like, the Jets are playing with house money right now. We've already superseded what everybody else thought we were going to do. This is house money. And that could be very dangerous because when you have nothing to lose because you've already surpassed the expectations of damn near everybody, you can cause damage. And I think that's why I wanted them to go for it too, because I really believe I don't think the Bills would have expected them to actually go for it. But again, Monday morning quarterbacking is way easier than when it's live, but it's on Sunday and things are actually getting thrown your way. So
No, exactly. And that's exactly it. When yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, you never know. But you want to win. That's the point, right? You want to win, you want to stay in the playoffs. That's yeah. But yeah, I remember you said, you had to get going.
Yeah,
I didn't
brother.
want to
My
hold you
bad.
up too
Yeah.
much, but
Nah,
I
you're good,
really,
man.
really appreciate, I really, really appreciate you joining me, man, and
Hey,
really
man.
appreciate
Thanks for the
you
invite.
guys, you guys out there, if you want, I'll definitely hang out with you guys a little bit longer, answer any of the questions you guys have, chat with you guys a little bit. But yeah, Gunny, I think the people probably know where to reach you, but if you want to let them know.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, appreciate you for having me, dog. It's always fun chopping it up with you. Like, no bullshit. We talked about this, and I said I had like half an hour, 1 hour and 20 minutes later, right? Like when it's
We did
when
joke
it's
about that, yeah.
bro,
You said
like
you had to leave
legit.
early,
We even said like, man, it's probably we got to keep an eye on it because otherwise we'll just keep going.
it'll just
And
get
we
away
still
from us. Yeah.
it just got away from us. But I love talking to you, bro. Yeah, y'all can go ahead and catch me at New York Jet Situation Report. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Yeah, man, like it's always a good time talking with you, brother. Yeah, y'all have a good night, and as always, go Jets.
You too, man. Really, really appreciate you being here, and always appreciate you being a part. It was really awesome chatting with you, man.
Always, brother. Always. Till next time.
Till next time, my man.
Good night, everybody.
Yep. See you guys out there. I'm gonna chill with you guys a little bit longer if you want. Talk about some stuff. You guys can be any questions. Anything you wanted to ask. But excellent points you guys were all raising. Excellent points. Excellent thoughts you guys had. And the biggest thing, is we still are in the hunt for the playoffs, right? Like we are right there. So appreciate you, Andrew. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all you guys. But you look at the playoff picture right now because we didn't actually get to talk about that yet. You look at the playoff picture right now. We're literally the top bubble team, right? It would have been great if Miami pulled the win out, right? But we're the top bubble team. It's about winning now, right? We want to get into the playoffs. We want to go from there. But yeah, so I'd love to know what you guys think. Any questions you guys have. Anything you maybe wanted me to answer. Any thoughts like that. Excuse me. But yeah, man. But yeah, so we were talking about Mike White before, going back to that. Love to hear what you guys think, but my honest feeling, like we were talking about before, I really feel like we might have found our guy, man. I really do. I'm really, really impressed with what I've seen. I really, really am. Like really, really am. So, some things we didn't talk about in this last game, the cornerbacks, right? Freaking Sauce Gardner, just being freaking Sauce Gardner, right? Just absolutely killing it, right? Garrett Wilson absolutely killed it. That's one guy we didn't talk about. And again, all these guys killing it with Mike White. We were saying that, right? You look at it, Garrett Wilson, he's killing it. Elijah Moore, he's back to killing it, right? Elijah Moore is looking good again. Corey Davis hopefully should be back soon. So Corey Davis is in the concussion protocol. As I imagine you guys, if you hadn't heard, Corey Davis is still in the concussion protocol. We're still, waiting to hopefully he can come out of that. I mentioned this yesterday with Italy Jet when we were chatting, on the post game show. Everyone's different. That's the thing. When you get a concussion, you don't know. You don't know how it's. It could be a few days, could be 2 days, 3 days. Some guys take a little bit longer, but it's going to give Mims the opportunity, right? Mims has been eating too. That's the point. Everybody's eating with Mike White, right? Like I said before, Mike White head of the table. Everybody's feasting, man. Everybody's feasting. So Moore is going to keep killing it. Mims is going to keep getting opportunities. And that's the point. We wanted to see if Mims could, still be the guy, right? He's looked really good. And Garrett Wilson, clearly, man, as you guys probably had heard, Garrett Wilson set the Jets rookie receiving record in this last game. I pointed out on Twitter that he was only 55 yards away. He did it in this last game. Garrett Wilson now, past Keyshawn Johnson, who had it back in 1998, Garrett Wilson now has the most rookie receiving yards in Jets history. And a lot of people saying, if Mike White had been his quarterback all year, probably have over 1,000 yards. That might be true. Because again, he's killing with Mike White. This offense looks great. It just looks so complete. They're killing it all together, man. It just looks awesome. So, like we talked about going into the offseason, if Mike White keeps killing it, we can get back in the playoffs, right? If he wins a playoff game, that changes everything, right? Changes the trajectory of everything. And again, like we said, he hasn't been winning, these last couple of games, but they were against really good defenses. Really good teams, right? Really good teams. And we were in the game the entire time, right? We were balling and playing with these guys. We talked about Bam Knight, how freaking awesome he's looked. He's got to be the guy. You know what I mean? Like, we got to feed him the ball more. He's only getting the ball 50% of the time. So I don't know if you guys had any other, questions or anything like that, but what I'm actually thinking of doing, and I'm going to let you guys know, I'm actually hoping to, bring you guys some more content. As you guys know, my job is, I work a lot of hours, but I really want to try to bring you guys some more content. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to bring you guys some more live shows throughout the week. So little teaser right now. So stay tuned. So and again, if you guys have any other questions or anything you want me to talk about, please let me know. But do stay tuned. Do stay tuned because I do have a surprise for you guys. Might be coming up. So I'm excited to be hopefully bringing you guys again more content. Please, like I've always said, let your friends know, let your buddies know. We have an awesome conversation. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. It's just awesome chatting with you guys, talking it out. Love your guys' comments. Love to chat it back and forth. But appreciate all you guys. Yes, anybody, if you haven't, if you could please subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. And if you enjoyed me and Gunny chatting it up, if you enjoyed our conversation, if you could hit the like button, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. But yeah, man, so I'm going to try to be bringing you guys some more stuff. Really, really am. But appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, please let your buddies know you're going to be making more, like of a weekly thing of this, more live shows. We're bringing more guests to you guys. I'm excited to, be bringing Jet stuff to you guys. So I look forward to seeing you guys more. Again, bring your buddies. We'll have a whole awesome time. Appreciate all you guys. Again, if you could please subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. And like I said, stay tuned. I got some news for you. So stay tuned. Listen out on Twitter, listen out on here. I'll let you guys know. So I'll see you guys next time. See you guys throughout the week, right? Take it easy. See you guys next time. And let's go Jets.